This is lesson 8.3, solving systems by elimination. We've, in the past 2 lessons, learned how to solve systems by graphing. That's 8.1. And then we've learned how to solve systems using substitution. And that's in 8.2. The good news is, if you had a hard time with substitution, this is a completely different method. And this one might be a little bit easier for you. It's easier for most compared to the last lesson. So on the top, you're going to see the steps to solve this. First, we're going to add or subtract. I'm going to tell you which one you need to do, but when you start practicing this some more, you need to figure out whether you add or subtract. And we're doing it to eliminate, hence it's called elimination. We're going to eliminate a variable, that's either x or y, and then we're going to solve it for whichever one's left over. Then we figure out the other answer. Remember, we need 2 answers. We need an x, we need a y. First example. We have x plus y equals -1 and x minus y equals 7. So here we're going to do addition. Since I put at the top of these notes, let's try addition. We're going to add everything straight down. The reason we're able to do this is that if we say the left side is equal to the right side, they're the same value, right? So if the left side is 7, the right side is also 7. They have the same weight. We're going to add because when we take y, when we take this plus -y, that equals what? Y and -y is 0. And we eliminate it, so y plus -y. All right, y plus -y. X plus x, looking right here, x plus x is 2x. And I can draw this fence here because all my equal signs lined up. And then -1 plus 7 is 6. The last step to solving, now this is a nice method because look, we only have a 1-step equation, and I hope you can all do this. We just have to divide by 2, and x is 3. Once we get to this point, remember we're only halfway done. We have to figure out what y is. In order to find y, we need to use one of our original equations. We could use x plus y equals -1 or x minus y equals 7. I don't know which one would be the easier one, so it doesn't really matter. I'll just choose the first one. X plus y equals -1. Instead of x, I'm going to put 3 because x is equal to 3. That's what we figured out here, so I can replace x with 3. So then this becomes 3 plus y equals -1. And I just figured out what y is from here. So I could subtract 3 on both sides because it gets rid of that. Gets rid of the positive 3 there. And I get y is -4. So there's my x, there's my y. Anytime you're solving a system, you need x and y. I am seeing in some of your practice problems that you're only getting an answer, then you're stopping from there. So just make sure you keep going till you get that second value. Example 2, 2x plus 2y equals -2 and 3x minus 2y equals 12. So again, I'm going to add straight down. I put this plus sign in between each of the things I'm adding so I don't get it confused with the other plus signs and minus signs you see in this problem. Okay, so I suggest you do the same thing. We want to make sure we eliminated something. So what did we eliminate, the x or the y? The y, we have positive 2y plus -2y, and that is our 0. Going to add 2x plus 3x. That gives me 5x. And then finally, I'm going to add -2 plus 12. That is 10. Positive 10. Okay, again, 1-step equation. I just divide by 5 because x is multiplying with 5. And x is 2. We still need to figure out what y is. Both equations one doesn't look easier than the other. So I'm just going to choose the first one. 2x plus 2y equals negative 2. And instead of x, I'm going to put a 2 there since x equals 2. What is that, 4 when I multiply? And this is just review, going through and getting y by itself. I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides, since that's a positive 4. We get 2y equals negative 6, then divide by 2. That gives us y is negative 3. And there we go, I have my x and my y. Okay, go ahead and try that third one there before you see the answer. And here's a solution for the third one. If we add straight down, we eliminate the x's because 6x plus negative 6x is that 0 that we want. We do 5y plus 7y is 12y. Some of you do forget to write the variable, so it's important to know what variable you're using because you're going to plug that back in to get your second answer. So 12y, and then we do 4 plus 20 to get 24 on the other side. All we have to do is divide by 12 to get the y by itself, and we get y is 2. Now that we know what y equals, we can replace y with 2. I used the first equation, so I didn't rewrite it though. But 6x plus 5 times our y, which is 2, that equals 4. And again, I'm not going to detail the rest of these steps, but I went through and solved it for our x, and I got x equals negative 1. And back here, we got y is equal to positive 2. If you compare this to the other ones that we've done, we found our x first, and then our y. And this problem, we found the y first and then the x. So it doesn't really matter, it just depends on how it works out, what gets eliminated at the beginning. Let's go to example 3. This one says we're going to try subtraction this time. So I need you to put a subtraction sign in between each of these numbers. And this is going to cause some more mistakes, and that's why I recommend doing that minus sign and using a calculator just to ensure that you're not making any mistakes. So the first thing we want to look for is where we get our 0, where we eliminate. Are we going to eliminate the x or the y? In this case, the x is exactly the same. It's a positive 6x and a positive 6x. So 6x minus 6x is 0. Negative 3y. Okay, follow along with me here. Negative 3y minus positive 8y. That's like saying negative 3 minus 8. Same thing. That is negative 11y. Okay, in your calculator, if you put negative 3 minus 8, you get negative 11. And lastly, 6 minus negative 16. Okay, minus a negative is like adding it pretty much. So we're going to get 22. Again, putting that in your calculator, 6 minus negative 16 is a positive 22. To get y by itself, we're dividing by negative 11. And we get y is negative 2. We still need to find out what our x is. I'm going to use the first equation, which is 6x minus 3y equals 6. And I get to replace the y. We know y is equal to negative 2. We get 6x minus 3 times negative 2. That equals 6. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. Then I can subtract that on both sides to get 6x equals 0. And finally, dividing by 6 on both sides leaves me with x equals 0. Example number 4, we have 4x plus 3y equals 19, 6x plus 3y equals 33. Again, we are going to subtract. I'm going to subtract everything because we get to eliminate our y. So that's 0, what I've circled. 4x minus 6x. So we're doing this one right here. It's subtraction. Right, so a common mistake I'll see is some of you will add it. But if you subtract it to get rid of the y's, you have to subtract everything. So 4x minus 6x is negative 2x. 19 minus 33, what is that, negative 14? Then we divide by negative 2. And that'll give us a positive answer, positive 7. Again, I'll use the first equation, 4x plus 3y equals 19, so that I can figure out what y is equal to. I know that x is 7, so change x to 7. That's 28 when we multiply. And much of the same. There's not a whole lot of differences here from problem to problem once we plug in the number. It's just solving equations. So if you struggle solving equations, you're going to struggle with this lesson. But it is good practice. 3y is going to equal whatever 19 minus 28 is. That's negative 9. Divide by 3. Y is negative 3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the U try right next to it. I want you to do it first before you see the solution. Go ahead and give it a try. Here's a solution for the last problem in the notes. We subtract straight across. And when we subtract the 2x minus the 2x, that gives us a 0. Remember, our goal when we add or subtract is to get a 0 with either the x's or the y's. There's going to be lots of mistakes here, but just be sure that you're subtracting a negative 10 for this. So 6 minus a negative 10 is positive 16. 17 minus 9 is equal to 8. When I divide by 16, again, I might see some mistakes here. That's not equal to 2. 8 divided by 16 is a half. If you put 0.5, that's also fine. That's acceptable. My first equation, 2x plus 6y equals 17. I just copied down here, and I changed y to a half. And again, just like all the other 5 problems, I went through and I solved for my variable, and I got x equals 7.